Alright, what's up, y'all? Nah, man. This here finna begin a series of motherfucking videos that I like to call low quality and highly informative, which I don't care that much about my appearance. That said, what I will probably end up doing, I'm not wearing pants, is getting some boobs, because when you have boobs, your videos get more views. I don't have any boobs. What are we going to talk about today, yo? Well, I tell you, a lot of people ask me about scales. What scale do I use? And a lot of times there is an answer, but once you get a little bit further down the road, you don't need to think about scales as much as what intervals you should be playing. Know what I mean? Up over the chord change and shit, you know? So what I'm trying to say is just not, it's really what notes you choose to play over a particular chord. And it's not necessarily the scale to use, because in a way that be a lazy way to be thinking about it, you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is, like, let's take for example a G chord right up in this area, you know what I mean? Of course, if all the information as accompaniment that you be given is a G chord, you have a lot of options. One of them, and probably the most commonly used scale pattern that I see a lot of beginner intermediate players do, is what they do is they say, okay, I'm finna play just a blues scale starting on G on the 3rd fret, you know what I mean? Which, it's okay, it's alright, but then they just, instead of being real particular, they just kind of stay in a fixed pattern and play up and down. They might bend some notes and do little licks and shit like that, which sounds okay. And then especially if there be a chord progression going and it go to like the 4 chord, like the C, let's say somebody jamming over like a blues change and it goes to the C, they don't change anything, they just keep playing that same pattern, and it doesn't, it's okay, it's kind of hit and miss. It's like, that sounds alright. So as opposed to sticking in that scale pattern, what's another option that you could do? Well, it's G major. Some other types of guitarists might say, oh, G major, I'll play a G major scale and I'll be alright. And that sounds musical and it sounds okay because it's a major scale over the major chord. However you decide you want to play it or where you want to play it, that works okay. Alright, changing my position. Alright, dig it. So I'm still playing a G chord. You can't see the whole guitar. Now you can. Now you can't. Now you can. Now you can't. Anyway, hold up a second. Change the angle right there. That's not any better at all. Okay, so let's get to the crux of the argument. You know what I mean? Let's get to the meat and potatoes. And maybe some corn. I got a story about corn, but I'm not going to tell it right now. So dig this here. Here's a simple idea to get you out of scale thinking. One is to just think about what notes are in the chord and where they are. Of course, we know that's called the arpeggio. So I'm playing the notes of a G chord, G major, which are G, B, and D. So anywhere you play them notes, it's finna be okay over the chord. That makes sense, right? Because if somebody's playing a G chord and you play the notes in that G chord, it has to work. So one of the ideas is to play every note below those notes, okay? So we have G, there's a D, there's a B, there's a G, there's a D, there's a B, there's a G. Every note below that, and then play the good note. So in other words, we got a bad note right below the good note. And that, oops, you get the idea. So instead of thinking about a scale necessarily, we're just thinking about where those notes are for the chord, and then what I can do, and then play that, and that sounds okay. Well, what else could we do? You know what I mean? You could do a couple different things. You know, you could play a scale tone or an interval, and then play those notes. So I'm playing some notes and approaching a scale to a chord tone. Alright, it's a little bit sloppy. I might not even be in tune, you know what I mean? I'm just passing the information along to you with a stupid hat on to cover up my haircut. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Alright. So the idea is, okay, Dave, well, how can I apply that to what I'm doing? Well, one of the things I think that's going to be important to you is use your ears more than, like, going, what fret and string do I play? Fuck that shit. Don't think about that. Use your ears and get you a looper or find a backing track on YouTube to keep it real simple that's just going to play whatever chord you're thinking about wanting to noodle over and make sound like something. So we got the for today is the G chord, but of course any major chord, whether it's G, A, B flat, B, whatever, F sharp, it doesn't really matter, because every lick that you learn how to play that sounds cool over that chord is going to be cool relative to where you play the chord. So if I play an A chord, I can do those same sort of note ideas. Let me give you a couple of patterns actually that I think are cool. I just got done saying don't play scales, but this isn't really a scale. It's parts of scales. It's parts of chord tones that sound musical when played together. Should we go back to G? Let's go back to G as to not be too confusing. Okay. And how long am I going to talk like this? I don't know. Sometimes it's like a pro wrestler when they get done. You know, sometimes you hear them talking in normal voice, as opposed to going, let me tell you something, brother. All right, check it out. G. Maybe we'll splice this up and make it cohesive. And if you're bored, you want to see the long version, which is what I'm going to upload because I'm lazy. Dig it. So, G. I'm going to play a G on the 3rd fret. Then I'm going to play a B on the 2nd fret of the next string. And I'm just going to walk up 4 notes in a row. So I start on G, and then I play B, C, C sharp, and D. Off the G chord right there. Sort of outlining a triad. And then I'm going to walk up from the E up to G again. 4. Alright, where was we? You're going to walk up from G and only play G right here on the 3rd fret. Know what I mean? And then play 4 notes in a row from the 2nd fret. B, C, C sharp, and D. So we got G, B, C sharp, B, G, B, C, C sharp, D. 4 in a row. And then we go to the next string and play also 4 in a row from the 2nd to the 5th fret. So here's what we have so far. Here's where things get interesting, because I'm going to use different notes progressing from this G instead of playing the same series of notes, which you could do. A lot of options. But we're going to stay in one position and not move up. So I'm going to go G, 2nd to the 5th fret here, all in a row. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the next string, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next string, we're just going to go 2, 3, 4. Alright? On the next string, we're going to go frets 3, 5, 6. And on the next string, we're finna play 3, 5, 6, 7. So here be the pattern, know what I mean? Which sounds pretty good ascending over a G chord, and I wasn't really fixed on any series of like the same 5, 6, 7 notes. I'm mixing them up. A little bit sloppy, but you're gonna mess with this and make it good. So, yeah. So, what I'm doing is I'm approaching. See, I even added some other crap in there. So let's just talk about that one pattern again. I'm gonna make it easy for it. 3 on the 6th string. 3. Then you're gonna go 2, 3, 4, 5 on the next string, A string. The next string, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next string, 2, 3, 4. The next string 3, 5, 6. The next string 3, 5, 7, 8. 3, 5, 6, 7. Woo! Keep you on your toes. So. Trying to play cool licks, but I can't come up with none right now. But we'll pass the information on to you. Alright. I think we're done with today. Does that make sense to you? I want you to experiment. That's G major. Of course, any pattern that you learn in one position for one chord is movable to any other chord based on you knowing what note or chord you're playing along this string, your E string. So it's very important to learn the notes, and especially the notes for starters on the E string and the A string, because that's where most of your chords are going to be based on, you know. Whether it's major, minor, dominant, doesn't really matter. If you're playing over a chord, a lot of times the root is on one of these two strings. Nah, man. Kick it, rock it.